Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, my name is Austin Salas. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and it is my passion to help men overcome sexual difficulties. Today, I want to talk about really the sole reason as to why I believe that men experience so much difficulty in their sex lives, whether it be lasting long enough, difficulty pleasing their partners, performance anxiety, premature ejaculation, delayed ejaculation, whatever the case may be. And I would go on to say that without a doubt, every single one of these issues is due to the inability to be consciously aware, present, and attentive during these intimate moments. Interestingly enough, this inability to be present, to be consciously aware, does not originate in the bedroom at all. I'd go on to argue that we are completely unaware of ourselves an estimated 95% of the day, completely and utterly distracted. Humans are on autopilot for most of the day. We are run by our subconscious programs, and because of the fact that we are habitual creatures, it's very hard to consciously break this mechanical routine. The individual being unaware of himself, being unconscious, does the most harm, does himself the most harm. He has no dominion over himself and no control over his body. This individual, and this may be hard for some of us to understand, is nothing but a stimulus response organism, unable to think, say, or do for himself. He is triggered by his external events and reacts per usual. So let's take up an example. We'll call this individual Tom. He works at a high-paced, stressful job like most people, and because of this and the stress and so on, he seeks relief and finds it through porn. Because porn offers temporary relief and pleasure, Tom's subconscious will always associate stress relief with porn, and this will be his default mechanism. So if his environment causes stress, his response, which is now subconscious, will be porn. There may be this illusion that he's choosing to watch porn, but he isn't. He's having an unconscious response to stress, which he cannot control. So let's take the same example, but let's say Tom has a partner. Same scenario, high pace, high stress job, multitasker, in his head a lot. When he finally gets home and it's time to be intimate with his partner, he can't bring himself into a relaxed state. He's in his head and can't tune into his body, relax it, or be present. The subconscious and mechanical programs that get him through his normal workday begin to play out in his sex life. He doesn't make an effort to slow down or be present for extended periods of time throughout his day, and so he brings the same subconscious mechanical energy into the bedroom, and thus his problems begin. This brings me to a beautiful quote by Samael Envoyar, and he says, "Whoever does not work on himself is always a victim of circumstances." The man or woman who is unconscious will always by default have to live under the influences of his or her subconscious programs and under the influences of his or her circumstances. And as we know or may not know, sex for most people can become very mechanical, where the way we have sex is very unconscious. And this is specifically true for couples who have been together for a long time. I know many people can relate to this. It's late, you guys are laying down, you both give each other this mutual look, like saying, all right, let's just have sex and get this thing over with. And this is a sign of trouble in the relationship. Sex, one of the most magical, unifying, intimate, beautiful things that we can provide to one another, becomes simply just another chore. The point being is that anything done unconsciously is susceptible to becoming stale, boring, and ineffective. The moment sex becomes another unconscious thing that you do, there is already a rift in the relationship. As I mentioned earlier, our tendency to make sex mechanical does not come from the bedroom. We are in fact on autopilot for most of the day, unaware, distracted, and to make matters worse, to make matters even more complicated, we bring this unconsciousness into the bedroom, and we can't decompress ourselves enough to get out of our heads and tune into our bodies and just be present. I was speaking with a client recently, and he was telling me how every time he's going to be intimate with his wife, he has intrusive thoughts. Am I going to disappoint her again? Will she complain about my performance again, etc.? And I asked him a rhetorical question. I said, does your wife ever notice that you're struggling? And he says that she does. And she'll tell him these exact words: you're everywhere but here with me in this moment. And so I ask him another simple question: how many times throughout the day can you say that you are fully present, aware without any distractions? And he says not many at all. So I want you guys to really understand this principle. How, if you don't practice being present throughout the day, do you expect to be present, aware, and focused during sex? I want to get at two things here. One, we have to accept the fact that we are rarely ever conscious. We are run by our subconscious programs, and because of this, we bring these mechanical actions into the bedroom, causing all sorts of problems. And so naturally, a man thinks that by simply taking a pill or doing some Kegels, he's going to resolve his problem. And the second thing I want to get at is what happens when we become more conscious in our day to day lives? Well, naturally, we are much more aware of our senses, aware of our bodies. We can consciously relax and release tension in our muscles. We become aware of our internal world where we can develop the ability not to identify with negative thinking or emotions. In becoming more aware of our bodies, in becoming more aware of our minds, and we bring this into the bedroom, this looks like consciously relaxing, a deeper connection and intimacy as you become more and more present. In being mindful, in taking your time, you will naturally last longer. Even if you've been struggling with premature ejaculation, the mere fact that you are practicing this awareness will allow you to notice where you're holding tension in the body, as opposed to being a victim to your body's subconscious reactions and the involuntary muscle contractions and tensions you normally experience. And now I have men tell me all the time, well, I am being conscious of myself and I still struggle to last longer, or I still get the urges to watch porn. And my response to that is that no, you are not conscious. If you repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again, it's because you are acting out unconsciously. And if you want to break this pattern, there needs to be a conscious intervention, a conscious effort to do something differently. Please understand this principle. We cannot change and stay the same. The key takeaway here is to become more aware, to be here now. And we can do this by constantly reminding ourselves to feel into our bodies, observe our patterns, our thoughts, our emotions, behaviors, and a big one, our reactions. The subconscious is covert and sinuous in its functions, so it takes patience and effort to realize its workings. And I truly believe, and I have verified for myself, that becoming more aware, becoming more present is one of the surest ways to overcome your sexual issues, because we go from being controlled by our body's reactions to having choice again. So here's what you're going to do. I want you to practice this one thing, and I want you to do it over and over and over again. Doing one thing at a time. If you are eating, just eat. If you are walking, just walk. If you're showering, just shower. Do one thing at a time and just pay attention and just be there in the moment with yourself. Do not try to multitask when it isn't necessary. With that being said, thank you so much. Like, share, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you and have a beautiful day, evening, night.